students, welcome back to this video. Let us get started our new session with an inspirational quote. Listen to this quote. There is nothing in a caterpillar that tells you it is going to be a butterfly. Okay students, come back to the topic. The topics to be covered in this session are, actually we are going to study about the tools of recombinant DNA technology. It includes enzymes, vectors and host. Among the enzymes, they are divided into three: restriction endonuclease enzyme, ligase and DNA polymerase. Among these three important tools, first of all we are going to study about restriction endonuclease enzyme. Tools of recombinant DNA technology. The three important tools are restriction enzymes, cloning vectors, and competent host. Restriction enzymes, cloning vectors, and competent host. See, from this illustration, it is able to understand what is the purpose of this enzyme. And the example for cloning vector. This indicates, or PBR 322 is a cloning vector. And there is a competent host. Here the bacteria is used as the host. So the three important tools of recombinant DNA technology are, first one is restriction enzyme, second one is cloning vector, and the third one is competent host. We can study in detail about the restriction enzyme. The other term which is used, that is molecular scissors. These molecular scissors are used to make the DNA into fragments. That means enzymes which are used to cut DNA at a specific site to make fragments. These enzymes are belong to a class of enzymes named nucleases. They are known as nucleases. The naming of restriction enzymes. Example is EcoR1. One example for restriction enzyme, that is, here you can see EcoR1. What about its naming? How this name get? The first letter indicate genus name of the bacteria from where it is isolated. Actually, this EcoR1 restriction enzyme is isolated from a bacteria named Escherichia coli. I'll write here Escherichia coli. COLI. Commonly, we called it as E. coli bacteria. So, the first letter indicates the genus name. Genus name is Escherichia, while coli is the species name. The second two letters, actually, second letter and the third letter indicates the first two letters of the species name. Coli, CO. Second two letters indicate species of the prokaryotic cell from which they were isolated. Okay. Then the name of the bacteria is Escherichia coli. Actually, that is RY13. That name you can see here. E. coli RY13. Here, what about this? R indicates. R is the type or the strain of that bacterium. And what about this number 1? Roman number 1 that indicates the order in which enzymes were isolated from that strain of bacteria. Okay. Then there are two classes of enzymes. One is exonuclease and endonuclease. Exonuclease enzymes are used to remove nucleotides from the end of the DNA. These enzymes are used to remove nucleotides from the end of the DNA. Endonuclease enzyme, they cut at specific positions within DNA. That endonuclease enzymes are used to make cut. They bind to specific recognition sequence of the DNA and cut the two strands at specific points. Then, what is the name of the first restriction endonuclease? The first restriction endonuclease enzyme is HIND2. It cuts DNA by recognizing a specific sequence of 6 base pairs. This is called the recognition sequence for HIND2. So actually, what is that specific recognition site? That is known as palindromic nucleotide sequence. That specific site means actually in the DNA they are known as palindromic nucleotide sequence. So what are palindromic nucleotide sequence? The restriction endonuclease recognize a specific palindromic nucleotide sequences in the DNA. So what do you mean by palindromic nucleotide sequence? It is a sequence of base pairs that read the same on two strands, 5 dash 3 dash strand and 3 dash 5 dash direction. So here you can see in this illustration you can see 5 dash 3 dash direction G G C C. So when we read in the second strand in the direction 5 dash 3 dash, that is also same G G C C. Actually, that is known as palindromic nucleotide sequence. So this is known as the palindromic nucleotide sequence. What do you mean by palindromic nucleotide sequence? It is a sequence of base pairs that read the same on two strands, that is in 5 dash 3 dash direction and in 3 dash 5 dash direction. See G G C C. Here also G G C C. If you read 3 dash 5 dash direction, C C G G. Then here 3 dash 5 dash direction also C C G C. So that is the meaning of palindromic nucleotide sequence. That means restriction endonuclease recognizes a specific palindromic nucleotide sequence to make the fragments or to cut the DNA. Okay. Then go through this illustration. Here we can see the sticky end after cutting at the palindromic nucleotide sequence. The place or the part of the nucleotide, here it is overhanging. Actually, that part is known as sticky end. Restriction enzymes cut the DNA a little away from the center of palindrome sites but between the same two bases on the opposite strands. So that leaves a single stranded overhanging stretches at the ends. They are called sticky ends. These sticky ends form hydrogen's bond with their complementary cut counterparts. This thickens helps for the action of ligase enzyme. Do you know what is the function of ligase enzyme? DNA ligase. DNA ligases help to ligate that particular part. When cut by the same restriction enzyme, the DNA fragments have the same kind of sticky ends. They are joined by DNA ligases. The second tool is cloning vectors. There are three tools: restriction enzymes, second one vectors, and the third tool is host organism. Then cloning vectors. What do you mean by vectors? These vectors are actually the carriers. Yes, DNA molecule. Actually, these vectors are a DNA molecule. They are the DNA molecule that can carry a foreign DNA segment and replicate inside the host cell. Examples, what all things are used as plasmids, used as vectors. First one is plasmid, bacteriophage, etc. are used as vectors. What are plasmids? Here you can see bacterial DNA. This is known as the DNA of the bacteria. In the same bacteria, we can see plasmids. What are plasmids? Yes, actually, they are extra chromosomal DNA. You can study in detail. Before that, you just remember what are things we used as the vectors, plasmids and bacteriophage. Plasmids are autonomously replicating circular extrachromosomal DNA of bacteria. Some plasmids have only 1 to 2 copies per cell. Others have 15 to 100 copies per cell. Bacteriophage is also used as a vector. So here plasmids are the autonomously replicating, or they are able to replicate self, means themselves. They are circular extra chromosomal DNA of bacteria. So these plasmids are not controlling the vital activity of this bacteria. It is controlled by the bacterial DNA. Okay. When the cloning vectors are multiplied in the host, the linked piece of DNA is also multiplied to the numbers equal to the copy number of the vectors. That is, it's one of the property that we have studied. What are the features of a cloning vector? Or what are the features required for cloning into a vector? There are four features. It includes origin of replication. In the plasmid, there should be an array. In short, we can call array origin of replication. Then second feature is that there should be a selectable marker. Actually, the selectable marker is the marker gene. The third quality is cloning site. There should be a cloning site. Then the last quality or the last feature is vectors for cloning genes in plants and animals. Here you can see different sites. Array is there, rope is there, then selectable markers we can see. Ampicillin, it denotes ampicillin resistance. This is tetracycline resistance. So we can study one by one in detail. Origin of replication or array. So this is the part. Okay, students, you see this the diagram of the PBR 322. This PBR 322 is a plasmid. This is modified form of col E1. Col E1 is the plasmid that is isolated from E. coli bacteria. After there are some modifications. It is named as PBR 322. So, what is the name of the plasmid which is isolated from E. coli bacteria? Col E1 is the plasmid or natural plasmid that is isolated from Escherichia coli bacteria. The modification of the col E1 is PBR 322. Then actually, three more genes are added to this called E1 and it is modified as PBR 322. Ora is there and tetracycline resistant is there, resistant gene is there, ampicillin resistant gene is there. Okay, then what about the naming of this PBR 322? Here, P is the or P denotes plasmid. B that and R, this B stands for Bolivar and R stands for Rodriguez. These two are researchers who developed PBR 322. Then 322 is the number that distinguished from other plasmid. PBR 322 is regarded as workhouse for gene cloning. P stands for plasmid. B Bolivar. I'll write here these names. Then it is easy to understand. B stands for Bolivar. 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 Then what about R? Rodriguez. RO DRI QU EZ. Rodriguez. 322, that is to distinguish from other plasmid. Okay, I think you have got an idea regarding this PBR 322. All should remember it is an artificially synthesized plasmid from the col E1. Actually, this is the natural plasmid that is isolated from Escherichia coli. Here, please don't be confused with the eco-R1. See, once again, you please go through this. Eco-R1 is a restriction endonuclease enzyme. This is also isolated from E. coli bacteria. Eco-R1 is an enzyme. Col E1 is the plasmid of E. coli bacteria. Okay. This col E1 is the plasmid that is isolated from E. coli bacteria. EcoR1 is the restriction enzyme that is also isolated from E. coli bacteria or Escherichia coli bacteria. Okay, students. Yes, we are studying about the PBR 322 or we are studying about what are the features required for cloning into a vector. We have completed all these points. Then what about the next one? What do you mean by origin of replication or ORI? It is a sequence where replication starts. It is a sequence where replication starts. A piece of DNA linked to RI can replicate within the host cell. It also controls the copy number of linked DNA. So for getting many copies of target DNA, it should be cloned in a vector whose origin support high copy number. The second quality or second feature is selectable marker. They are otherwise known as marker gene. It is a gene that helps to select transformants and eliminate the non-transformants. These selectable markers are used or marker genes are used to eliminate the non-transformants. That means to select the transformants. We require transformants for recombinant DNA technology, or in order to prepare a specific protein, we need the transformants and we have to eliminate the non-transformants. If a piece of DNA is introduced in a host bacterium, it is called transformation. Such a bacterium is transformant. If transformation does not take place, it is non-transformant. Selectable markers of E. coli include genes encoding resistance to antibiotics like ampicillin, chloramphenicol, tetracycline, kanamycin, etc. All these are antibiotics, means that genes encoding resistance to antibiotics. If it is ampicillin, it is known as ampicillin resistant. Here you can see the letter R, TTR, tetracycline resistant gene. Normal E. coli cells have no resistance against these antibiotics. Normal E. coli bacteria means coli 1. There is no any ampicillin resistant gene or tetracycline resistant gene. Here this ampicillin resistant gene and tetracycline resistant gene are absent in coli 1, means natural occurring plasmid of E. coli. Okay. While these two added to this, that is PBR 322. I think it is clear. Then third quality or third features required for cloning into a vector, that is cloning site. To link the aligned DNA, the vector needs a single or very few recognition sites for restriction enzyme. They are otherwise known as recognition site, cloning site or recognition site. More than one recognition sites generate several fragments. It complicates the gene cloning. Ligation of aligned DNA is carried out at a restriction site present in one of the two antibiotic resistant genes. Ligation of a foreign DNA at BAM-H1 site, this is the BAM-H1 site of tetracycline resistant gene in PBR322. As a result, recombinant plasmid is formed. If ligation does not occur, it is called non-recombinant plasmid. When a foreign DNA is inserted within a gene of bacteria, that gene is inactivated. It is called insertional inactivation. Here, the recombinant plasmid lost tetracycline resistance due to insertion of foreign DNA. So once again, you go back to that previous slide. You can see ligation of a foreign DNA at BAM-H1 site of tetracycline resistant genes in vector PBR322. That means ligation is going to take place here. BAM-H1 site of tetracycline resistant gene. Once it is added to this side, so that this plasmid lost the ability to resist the antibiotic tetracycline. That is the meaning of the next sentence. Here you can see that is known as insertional inactivation. When the plasmids are introduced into E. coli, three types of cells are obtained. Which are they? They are non-transformants, transformants with non-recombinant plasmid, transformants with recombinant plasmid. These non-transformants, they have no plasmids. They are not resistant to either tetracycline or ampicillin. Then transformants with non-recombinant plasmids, they are resistant to both tetracycline and ampicillin. The transformants with the recombinant plasmid, they are resistant only to ampicillin. So this is used to synthesize the desired protein. Means transformants with the recombinant plasmid, they are resistant only to ampicillin. Why? Because it lost the tetracycline resistance. Why? Because it is added, the desired DNA is added into the BAM-H1 site of tetracycline resistant gene. Okay. When a foreign DNA, oh, this we have completed. Recombinant plasmids can be selected out from non-recombinant ones by plating the transformants on ampicillin medium. Then the transformants are transferred on tetracycline medium. The recombinants grow in ampicillin medium but not on tetracycline medium. But non-recombinants grow on medium containing both the antibiotics. One antibiotic resistance gene helps to select the transformants. The inactivated antibiotic resistance gene helps to select recombinants. Actually, this method is difficult and the procedure is also very difficult to do. So that there is another method by using chromogenic substrates. What do you mean by chromogenic substrates? The substrate which gives color, that is known as chromogenic substrate. The previous method by using plating the antibiotics like ampicillin and tetracycline, uh, that procedure is a difficult process, so that we can use the chromogenic substrate. This is an alternative selectable markers that is developed based on their ability to produce color in presence of a chromogenic substrate. Go through this illustration. This will help you to understand very clearly. See here, this is the foreign DNA, this is the plasmid. Foreign DNA is inserted. That foreign DNA actually, this recombinant DNA, this is the recombinant DNA. It is inserted into the coding sequence or the gene of enzyme. Name of the enzyme is beta galactosidase. So that gene is inactivated due to that insertion. So that process is known as insertional inactivation. Insertional inactivation. Then what is the result? After that, it put into the chromogenic substrate, it does not show any color. That means white color. If the plasmid in bacteria have no an insert, it gives blue color while putting in the chromogenic substrate. Okay. Once again, go through this illustration. It will help you to understand very easily. Here in this petri dish, we can see blue colonies and white colonies. The last quality or last features required for cloning into a vector. Agrobacterium tumefaciens. It is a bacteria. It's a pathogen of many dicotyl plants. These pathogens is transformed into useful vectors for delivering genes to plants and animals. Genetic tools of some pathogen is transformed into useful vectors for delivering genes into plants and animals. Some of the example: Agrobacterium tumefaciens. It is a bacteria that causes uh, diseases in many dicotyl plants. Other one is retroviruses. Then what about this Agrobacterium tumefaciens? It can give you a piece of DNA. That DNA is known as tDNA. That transform normal plant cells into a tumor. Here you can see that normal plant cells into a tumor. So these tumor cells produce the chemicals required by the pathogen. They are known as Ti plasmid of Agrobacterium tumefaciens. Why? Tumor inducing. They are tumor inducing, so that they are known as Ti, capital T, small I. Ti plasmid of Agrobacterium tumefaciens. It is modified into a cloning vector which is not pathogenic but can use the mechanism to deliver genes of interest into to plants. Retroviruses in animals can transform normal cells to cancerous cells. Oncogene. So they are used to deliver desirable genes into animal cells. Oncogenes means the gene responsible for cancer. The third tool is competent host. For recombinant DNA technology is competent host for transformation with the recombinant DNA. See, the DNA is a hydrophilic molecule. It cannot pass through cell membrane of the bacteria. So that bacterial cell must be made competent to take up aligned DNA or that plasmid. In order to make that, bacterial cells are treated with a specific concentration of a divalent cation. Example is calcium. So DNA enters the bacterium through pores in cell wall. When it is treated with the calcium, there is a pores formed, so DNA enters the bacterium. After that, these cells are incubated with the recombinant DNA on ice. Then they are placed briefly at 42 degree centigrade, that is actually heat shock, and put them back on ice. This enabled the bacteria to take up the recombinant DNA. Non-transformed bacteria, a competent cell, then plasmid transported into the host cell. This is the one method. Then what are the other methods? Other than this, there are three more methods. Here you can see the photos. Micro injection.
Recombinant DNA is directly injected into nucleus of an animal cell. Second one is gene gun, that is otherwise known as biolistics. Cells are bombarded with high velocity microparticles of gold or tungsten coated with DNA. This method is suitable for plants. Then, and the third one is disarmed pathogen vectors. When it infects the cell, that transfer recombinant DNA into the host. Okay, students, that's all about the tools of recombinant DNA technology. Okay, we can wind up the class. Thank you for watching this video.